Let us prepare for the dictation, centering your consciousness within the heart and accelerating the focus of your attention by the fires of the heart into your own mighty I Am presence. Blessed children, I, Morya, know well the longing of the heart. I understand the sense of separation which many experience on the path of mastery and attainment. Perhaps you have not considered that your life was such. But this course which you have elected oft times leaves you with the outer awareness that there is only you, separate and apart and alone. But this is not reality. For within the folds of the garments which you, as the integrated, incarnate life stream, are able to wear, are all of those integrated connecting links to the heart of God, allowing for the fullness of the expression of the Mother Light, for the guidance of the mind of God as the Father Light flows forth. All this tied together in the integration of your own heart as the son or daughter of God. You have wandered far and wide, but you have never been completely disconnected. Only in the mind, only in the emotions, lives duality. For the reality of the oneness of God is sown within the fabric of the heart, flowing forth to you daily is the guidance, the nourishment, the wisdom, and the protective garment that affords you just enough latitude to test and forge your own awareness in these planes of the physical octave. Perhaps you have considered at one time or another that life was too harsh, that the tests were too intense, and that surely you did not have to go through such endurance in order to forge the metal of your own mastery. But it is the case, beloved. What remains through all of the testing, through all of the trials, is how you approach with the mind and the emotions of your identity those tests. You may emotionally fall apart, not able to hold on to the mind of God, sufficient to allow for the wisdom of the right course to ensue. You may Determine that you know all, and forge ahead in the human ego, not allowing for the mind of God to be connected, giving you the right course and action. You may, with all of the exuberance, elect to move forward when you should be holding your ground in the poise of attunement with God. You may elect to stand in the flame of the heart, unfurled as the threefold action of God, understanding the wisdom, the illumined action that is to go forth, empowered by the heart and the will and the desire of God. This action allows you to stand in the fullness of courage, knowing that you have at your disposal all that is required to win the victory. You have all that is required to teach, to instruct, to give of the flame of the heart, which you know so intimately, for you have listened, you have tasted, and you have touched the flame of God. You have understood what it means to integrate with the love of God. Every God quality that flows forth from your God presence has inherent within it the flame of love, allowing you to approach every aspect of life requiring a flame of God from the vantage of love, holding fast to that which you know more intimately than any other God quality. For you were born of love. You breathe in love. You act with love. For all that comes forth is because of the foundation of love. There is no action that you are engaged within that does not have its original source in love. Wisdom's ray can only be sent forth with a heart that loves. When you understand how the heart, the threefold flame of your identity, is woven in, through, and around every part of your life, then you can begin to trace the very point of origin of your own identity. Your God presence knows only the wholeness, knows only that there is God ever present, knows only that you, as the outer vehicle of expression, are a part of that wholeness of God. You have never been cut off, though you may have sensed by agitation or loneliness imposed. You have never been lost, for your own God presence knows every move, every nuance that you experience as reported by your own vehicle of the Holy Christ Self, when it is the desire to hold you in the protective arms of the light, to send you the encouragement to continue to stand your ground, to give you an impetus of love that washes over the emotional body, to heal, to soothe, to calm, and bring forth peace. To guide the very footsteps that you take, to keep you in the direction of the course of your own divine plan. Sadly though it is, where the son or daughter of God has not grown into the awareness and expanded the light sufficiently into adulthood as the divine man-child, the infant one oft-times has ignored the promptings, assuaged that which was the human ego and human will, fallen back on old habits and patterns untransmuted, and gone the way of the mass consciousness of humanity, uneducated in the fullness of God. It is our role as ascended masters, and most assuredly the role of your own God presence, to continue to fortify you, embrace you, encourage and strengthen you, to stand and continue to stand until such time as the election of your own God presence has determined for you to take your leave of this earthly plane and rise into the current of the ascension. It is our great joy to be ever present, reinforcing those times when you have allowed for the sense of separation to drive you into the depths of despair, to nudge you, to envelop you in the light, to give you once more, even if it is but for the flickering of the moment, the taste and the touch of light, the sense of well-being, and a reminder of the wholeness that is ever present within your heart. As the Father image to many across the land, I have known what it means to be rejected. For many times the Father stands for what is right, the current of the force of the mind of God that illumines, brings cosmic truth, and allows for the path to be made clear and precise, for the will of God to be revealed. Throughout the land, there are many movements at this present stage in the consciousness of humanity that has lost sight of the role of the father and the mother within the divine family. They have lost sight of the respect that is required to be enacted so that it might remind the outer consciousness and the emotional body that there is a higher way of life. That when the God presence determines to move within the vehicles of expression, that immediate obedience is required by the outer vehicles. That when the light of the mother begins to move through the physical body, it is well disciplined to enact the creative fires required to bring forth the nourishment and the abundance of life. Absent the understanding at a very core level of awareness that permeates the fabric of life, the sons and daughters of God are wont to gravitate to lesser awareness, lesser attitudes, determining that the human ego and the undisciplined emotional body must be adhered, not the Holy Christ self, for that is much too difficult. It requires putting away those things that are familiar, those actions that are wont to continue to reign. My message is not often one that is popular. There are those that would like to ignore that message and have the rule of the human, of the ego, to reign within the schoolroom of earth. But I, Morya can assure you that as long as I am Chohan of the first ray, I will continue to stand as the pillar of the will of God, to remind the sons and daughters of God that it is imperative to learn how to bend the knee in discipline to God. There are those that want to blame God for everything that is uncomfortable that is about life. But I promise you that as more and more of the children of God awaken to their identity, putting on the mind of God and understanding through wisdom's ray that they have made all that they experience, that they ultimately are responsible for every part of life which they experience, and that it is their role to change what they do not like. Mastery of the rays of God, the integration of the vehicles of consciousness with the truth of the law of your own being, and the understanding of your own mind of God, the I Am presence that is given to you through the office and the vehicle of the Holy Christ Self, allows you, beloved, to stand in the fullness of the I Am presence, wearing the respective garments required for each initiation, each moment of life, giving you the opportunity to wield the light of God, express the light of God, and ultimately to reunite in the ascension with your own God presence, each of these vehicles of expression, allowing the fullness of your own one mind, one heart, one hand of God to move forward through the cosmos. Reinstilling the divine family as the archetypal pattern of life is most important, especially in this era where there are such great movements afoot that would separate man from woman, child from parents, and try to reorder the natural occurrence of life. As long as there are sons and daughters of God in the earth integrated with the Holy Christ Self, able to step forth and proclaim, I am, the light of God will reign supreme, and the divine family will once more be elevated to that position of prominence and respect. I trust that as you place your attention upon the flame of Father, elevating your own consciousness to the I Am presence, you will allow for the light to flow forth, opening the crown into the mind of God, so that you might have the full love of God as it pours forth into the earth. The love of the Father is ever present. Should you have a temporary lapse of awareness of the closeness of the light of the Father, you need only go within the heart, and you will know the Father is always within the heart, seated beside the light of the Mother, issuing forth you as the Christ. Happy Father's Day, Monroe. We all wish you a very happy Father's Day, as we do every father, every son and daughter of God that is experiencing the Father flame today. We love you. I think it would be.
Before our benediction, I'd like to pass along a request from beloved Saint Germain to all of his torchbearers of the temple for a vigil of decree support for the supply for the Temple of the Presence over the next fortnight and the days leading up to the July class. On a practical level, there are decisions that are being formulated, which will be made during this time period, affecting the ability on the part of torchbearers of the temple to not only contribute to the building of La Chapelle, but many of the other projects and building projects that are outlined in the white paper. So we are going to ask all of you to step up your calls to the Emerald Matrix for the protection of the will of God, the clearing of the way with the violet flame for the divine plan to come forth. You can multiply these calls, expand them to include your own divine abundance and supply, the divine abundance of all of the torchbearers, all of the students of the Ascended Masters, and of course, all of the wonderful children of God across the face of the earth. This is a very specific program of decrees that we would like to be included in the Violet Flame Vigil. Many of you might feel as if you wish there were more that you could personally do to move some of these projects along. In addition to the gifts which are within your power to make, you do have the voice of God and the heart of God and the power of the spoken word of your own mighty I Am presence that you can lay upon the altar as a living sacrifice during this next time period. So we are calling as much as possible for the community to come together, especially in this next week during the evenings here at Coeur de Leon, and have a rip-roaring decree session in the evenings here. But all of you in your temples and altar groups, in your own homes, before your own Ark of the Covenants, Ark of the Presence, you can be giving these calls for the protection of the divine plan and the protection of the supply. Thank you so very much. It's wonderful to be able to inaugurate this program of decrees on this wonderful Father's Day. We are feeling the pressure of the oncoming light of the July class, not only the heart of our own blessed Morya, but of course that of beloved Saint Germain as well. As you know, Saint Germain has now for several years announced that he is appropriating the July class and its releases to every 12 months give a further impetus to the program of his golden age. So can hardly wait to see what surprises he will be unveiling for us very shortly. Please rise. Splendid and magnificent diamond heart of Morya, of Mother Mary, the Mother of the world, cast your beams far and wide across the face of the earth. Form an arch of protection over each of the blessed ones, the children of God whom he doth love. Protect them with that diamond heart this day, and let the adamantine will of the one true and living God be the strength and the faith and the protection that moves each one forward safely unto the greatness of their own victory and the realization in their outer world of the fullness of their blessed mighty I Am presence. We thank the heart of God and the great central Sun for the close abiding presence of our great Father of the ages, beloved Morya. Amen.